Hi guys, it's Frankie from Frankie Tech. Good to see you guys again, and I'm here today with a quick video, something I thought about last night as OnePlus 8 was being announced and the OnePlus 8 series. I was holding my Redmi K30 Pro and I thought to myself, has the OG Flagship Killer left the building? Are we now seeing a changing of the guard when it comes to value phones and which companies offer the best price to performance ratio? The OnePlus 8 series looks like an amazing series, and we've seen the specs, we've seen now the release of this phone, and coming in at $900 US for the OnePlus 8 Pro. This phone is now entering iPhone and Samsung territory, and it just makes me think, what an amazing journey OnePlus has had. They started as the original flagship killer, but every year they've upped their prices. And they have now made it possible for companies like Xiaomi, like Oppo, like Realme to come into the market and offer consumers something that offers about 90 to 95% of the experience of these very expensive phones at half the price. And holding here the Redmi K30 Pro Zoom Edition, I just thought to myself, what are the things about this phone that the OnePlus 8 Pro has, and what really is this missing? So talking about design and display, we have a pretty nice design on this phone. I would think it still goes toe-to-toe with what we've seen from OnePlus, but that glacial green is looking amazing, and I'm sure the fit and finish of the OnePlus 8 Pro series will be phenomenal. But the design and build quality of this Redmi K30 Pro is top-notch, so I don't think there's much of a separation there. But what about the display? When it comes to display, this is where we see the larger separation from the OnePlus 8 Pro and this Redmi K30 Pro. So we have a full HD 60 Hz display here on the Redmi K30 Pro, and the OnePlus 8 Pro has gone full flagship with a 2K display with a 120 Hz refresh rate. And it is a stunning display. I bet it is. The one negative I can already tell though, it has curved edges, and those curved edges I'm not a fan of. I've been loving the flat panel display here on the Redmi K30 Pro, and just reminded me once again why I love flat panels so much. They just don't allow for accidental touches. Sure, you lose a little bit of that immersive edge there, but I do believe for watching content I prefer a flat panel display over the one on the OnePlus 8 Pro. The other thing that I heard mentioned from a number of reviewers, MKBHD in particular, he seemed a bit down on the fact that OnePlus had chosen to go back to the punch hole over having a pop-up camera. I think a lot of you out there feel the same way, and the fact that the OnePlus 8 Pro has gotten even more expensive but now is not giving you that full bezel-less experience, while the Redmi K30 Pro here is doing that, is pretty surprising. Now I can understand for IP ratings and for other decisions that they would do that, but let me tell you the reason why I'm enjoying this phone so much. There's no notch, there's no punch hole, the flat panel display. Every time I pick up this phone, I just feel like I'm using the future. And it's crazy to think that the future is already here and it costs half the price of all these flagship phones. And in terms of performance, Snapdragon 865, check. Both of these phones have it. DDR5 RAM, check. Both of these phones have it. But what about UFS 3.1 storage? The Redmi K30 Pro Zoom Edition does have this, while the OnePlus 8 Pro is going UFS 3.0. It's a small difference probably between those two, but just to say on a spec sheet that this phone has better storage capabilities than the OnePlus 8 Pro, a phone that costs significantly more, is surprising. We have dual speakers on the OnePlus 8 Pro, only single bottom firing on this Redmi K30 Pro. But what is one of the big things that you get on this phone that you don't get from any of the OnePlus phones now? That's a 3.5mm headphone jack. And that is a feature that for a lot of you is still very important, a bit less so for me. I love my Bluetooth solutions now, but I just think also OnePlus missed the mark today in the sense that they had an opportunity to release some fully wireless Bluetooth earbuds. I would have loved to have seen that from OnePlus, and instead they're shipping their traditional OnePlus wireless buds with the wired connection between the two earbuds. It's a missed opportunity in my opinion, but once again I'll have to test that phone out when I get it very soon to see how it does compare to this Redmi K30 Pro. And last but not least, in the camera department, the 8 Pro has definitely made strides. They're now using a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 as their ultra wide, with a new Sony IMX689 for their main sensor, and there is an 8 megapixel telephoto lens and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. And in terms of cameras, what is same and what is different? Well, we do have a main sensor of 64 megapixels on this Redmi K30 Pro versus 48 on the OnePlus 8. But the OnePlus 8 takes the ultra-wide section with a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586. That is really impressive, while the K30 Pro is stuck with a traditional 13 megapixel ultra-wide. But here is the thing, guys, that makes this phone so appealing. There is still an 8 megapixel telephoto on this Redmi K30 Pro, which I mentioned to you guys in a previous video was important when you're comparing it to other phones. And that is exactly what we're seeing here. The OnePlus 8 has that same type of camera with the same megapixel count. Now, obviously, we'll need to fully test out the camera on that phone series once I get it. But for now, I'm pretty impressed with the results of this Redmi K30 Pro. And do I expect this phone to equal or surpass OnePlus 8 Pro in the camera department? Probably not. Is the video going to be as good as the OnePlus 8 Pro? Probably not. But remember what we're talking about here, guys. We're talking about the 90 to 95% as good phone. And in this case, I have been very impressed with the camera results of this Redmi K30 Pro. And so wrapping up this initial comparison, it really puts a lot on your mind, and it makes you think, what is OnePlus's strategy with this price hike? I think OnePlus has decided that it is their time to finally challenge the flagship phones that are out there, the Samsungs, the iPhones of the world. But what's so hilarious is that OnePlus has now released in this week an 8 Pro series starting at $900 US, while this week we're going to see an iPhone SE2 come in at probably half that price. And we have the amazing iPhone 11, which is coming in at $700, offering tremendous value for what are still some of the best cameras and best video cameras and just best overall experience on a phone. The Redmi K30 at its price point has the OnePlus 8 Pro beat in a number of key areas. Faster storage, slightly larger battery capacity, 4,700 versus 4,510, UFS 3.1 storage, and last but not least, the added pop-up camera, which allows for this fully uninterrupted display that I think a lot of people are missing now from the OnePlus 8 series. And so I think it's safe to say, guys, that OnePlus as the flagship killer is officially no more. It goes to the history books, and we have a new flagship killer in the Redmi K30 Pro and in other phones of this category, like the Realme X2 Pro, like the Mi 9T Pro before it. These are the new flagship killer phones, the ones that will hit that price to performance ratio that made OnePlus such a popular brand to begin with. We'll wait and see if their strategy works. Now, I don't think it's a negative strategy if they start putting themselves next to Samsung and next to iPhone in the conversation of flagship phones. And if they can get that kind of market share and they have higher margins for these flagship phones, they're going to do very well. But the point I'm trying to make here is that they are now catering to a different consumer. And for the very price-conscious consumer, you're going to have to look elsewhere. And this Redmi K30 Pro is a great place to start. But hit me up in the comments, guys. What do you think of the OnePlus 8 Pro series? Do you think it's priced too high for what it's offering? Do you think that Redmi represents the new flagship killer of 2020? Hit me up in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And also, let me know in the comments what you think of this new format. I'm trying out some new microphones and a little bit of new formatting today, a much wider picture. Let me know what you think, and I'll be making changes this week accordingly, depending on how you guys feel about it. But that's it for this video. If you liked it, give me that thumbs up. And if you love the content of Frankie Tech, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for future updates. And stay tuned, guys. The OnePlus 8 series officially launches here in Hong Kong on April 16th. I will try my best to get a review unit as soon as I can, because I can't wait to check that out. Also stay tuned, the iPhone SE2 is coming out very soon. Another one that I'm very excited to check out. A lot of great phones to check out here very soon on Frankie Tech. So that's it, and this is where I leave you by saying, this is Frankie Tech signing off. Have a good one.